What's up everyone? You're going to want to stick around the whole way through because in this video, we're breaking down one of the greatest financial tools available, the Individual Retirement Account or IRA. We'll cover the different types of IRAs, those sneaky restrictions and limitations, and ultimately how to decide which type of IRA is best for you. I know you're a busy person, so let's not waste any time. First things first, what is an IRA? An IRA is a special type of investment account that is designed specifically for retirement savings, and as such, gives you beneficial tax treatment. It's basically the government's way of incentivizing you to save for your retirement, which you better do because Lord knows Social Security will be completely wiped out of existence by the time you need it. But before we can appreciate the value of an IRA, let's first briefly discuss how money in a standard taxable brokerage account is taxed. As you all know, when you make money, you pay income tax on your earnings. You take that money, which you've paid taxes on, and invest in some mutual funds or ETFs. While these funds grow, they may pay out dividends, the fund might be rebalanced, or you might buy and sell yourself to maintain some target asset allocation. All of these actions are taxable events, meaning you'll have to pay taxes on the dividends or capital gains. Year over year, these taxes are a small haircut on your account, which over time can have a big impact on your account's overall growth. And finally, when you're ready to use that money in retirement, you pay capital gain taxes again when you sell. You're taxed on your income, you're taxed as it grows, and you're taxed when you sell. When will the madness stop?
You can't keep getting away with it!
But there is hope in the form of an IRA. Now, there are two types of IRAs, a traditional and a Roth, and the exact tax benefits you get depend on the type of IRA you choose. Let's start with the traditional. In a traditional IRA, also sometimes referred to as a pre-tax IRA, your contributions are tax deductible, meaning your taxable income is lowered by the amount you contributed to this account. If your taxable income for the year is normally $60,000 and you contributed the max amount, which for 2024 and 2025 is $7,000, then the contribution is deducted from your taxable income and you are only taxed as if you made $53,000. And this is why a traditional IRA is also referred to as a pre-tax IRA, since the dollars you contribute are put into the account before they're taxed. Once that money is in your IRA, you can invest it in all sorts of different investments to allow it to grow, up until you're ready to withdraw it in retirement. And here's where it gets really exciting. Your invested money grows tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on any investment gains until you withdraw the money in retirement. This allows your money to compound and grow faster over time. All that growth is tax-free, and you avoid getting nickel and dimed with taxes like you do in a taxable brokerage account. But all good things must come to an end. Just as our beloved rainforests will be decimated by mankind's unquenchable hunger for limited edition sneakers and peanut butter cups, so too must the taxman come slinking back for his share of the winnings, just when you'd thought you'd gotten away with it. While there are no taxes while your money grows and remains within your IRA, when you're finally in retirement and withdraw money from your traditional IRA, it will count as ordinary income. If you pull out $40,000 from your traditional IRA, that will be treated the same as if you had earned $40,000 working a job, and you'll be taxed as such. So basically, the traditional IRA helps you avoid some taxes now and deferring them until retirement, which can be helpful if you're in a much higher tax bracket now than you expect to be in retirement. Now, let's turn our attention to the Roth IRA, which is sort of like the inverse of the traditional IRA. Unlike contributions to the traditional IRA, which are not taxed, with a Roth, you contribute money you've already paid taxes on, so there's no upfront tax deduction. And, just like a traditional IRA, the money in the account can grow tax-free. But, and this is a big but, unlike our traditional, your withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free, meaning once you've contributed to a Roth IRA, the government has to keep their grubby little paws off your hard-earned money and you'll never be taxed again.
After all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it?
I think we can all see the benefits of eating the taxes now and never having to worry about what taxes might look like in the future. So quick recap between these two types of IRA. For a traditional IRA, contributions are tax deductible. For Roth, they're not. Both have tax-deferred growth, meaning no taxes while in the account, and traditional has taxable withdrawals, while Roth withdrawals are tax-free. Simple enough? Now, before you get too excited and start throwing your life savings into an IRA, which, spoiler alert, you can't, there are a few rules and limitations you need to be aware of. I know, there's always a catch, but these are going to be very important factors that could influence your account choice. Think of it like a friendly game of red light, green light for your retirement savings.
무슨 일이 생겨도 놀래서 뛰거나 달아나면 안 돼요.
First up, contribution limits. The government puts a cap on how much you can contribute each year, which I guess makes sense. They can't be out there handing out tax benefits all willy-nilly. I mean, they gotta save most of those for the people struggling to pay off their yachts, am I right? For 2024 and 2025, that limit is $7,000 or $8,000 if you're 50 or older, and applies to all types of IRAs. Next, we have income limits, which apply differently for traditional and Roth IRAs. For traditional IRAs, there are income limits to be able to deduct your contributions from your taxes. I'll put some helpful links in the description where you can find some of these tables, but using the single tax filing status as an example, for 2024, if your modified adjusted gross income is $77,000 or less, you can deduct the full amount you contributed to your traditional IRA. If your modified adjusted gross income, okay, that's just too long to say, I'm just going to say Maggie. If your Maggie is between $77,000 and $87,000, you can take a partial deduction based on your Maggie. And if your Maggie is $87,000 or more, you can't take any deduction. So, I mean, that's a huge ripoff. Regarding the Roth IRA, as a single filer, if your Maggie is under $146,000, you can contribute to the full limit. Between $146,000 and $161,000, you can contribute a partial amount, and $161,000 or above, you can't contribute to a Roth IRA at all.
This is a bummer, man. That's a bummer.
But never fear, Venture Dave is here. If you find yourself over the income limit to contribute to a Roth IRA, there's actually a process called the Backdoor Roth, which effectively allows you to still contribute to a Roth IRA even if you're over the income limit. Basically, what you do is contribute to a traditional IRA and then convert it to a Roth. And that's it. You've effectively contributed to a Roth IRA. It's literally just a loophole that Congress doesn't bother closing because they think it's funny to keep people confused and only want people who are well educated in finances to take advantage of these benefits rather than make them accessible to everyone. But I digress. If this sounds confusing, don't worry, I'm going to make an entire separate video explaining the Backdoor Roth, and I'll link it up here when it's available. Now, let's talk about withdrawal restrictions. The whole point of an IRA is to save for retirement, so the government doesn't want you dipping into that money early. If you withdraw money before 59.5, you'll usually get hit with a 10% penalty on top of any regular income taxes you owe. Regarding a Roth IRA, because the money you contributed was already taxed, you can withdraw contributions at any time without penalty or taxes. However, you may have to pay taxes and penalties on earnings in your Roth IRA if withdrawn before age 59.5. For both types of IRAs, there are some exceptions to the rule to avoid penalties, like for certain medical expenses or education expenses. So, if you're considering an early withdrawal, be sure to check out the rules and understand the potential consequences for your situation. However, despite the possibility, you should never plan to withdraw early from your IRA unless it's an absolute emergency. You want that money to have as much time to grow tax-free as it can. The last major limitation is required minimum distributions, or RMDs, and these only apply to traditional IRAs. Starting at age 73, you're required to start taking money out of your traditional IRA each year. The amount you have to withdraw is based on your age and account balance, and the specific amount can be found on the IRS website or through a number of helpful online calculators. I'll post some links below. You're allowed to withdraw more than the specified RMD, but if you withdraw less, you'll be hit with penalties in addition to the taxes for the portion not withdrawn. For some people, required minimum distributions won't necessarily matter because they need to withdraw the money anyway. But people who don't need to may find it annoying because it's forcing them to take more income than they need and thereby pay more taxes. The idea behind RMDs is for the government to make sure that you eventually pay taxes on all that tax-deferred money. Sooner or later,
You gotta pay the troll toll if you want to get into that boy's hole.
These situations can get a bit complicated, and we only covered a few examples, so definitely be sure to look up the specifics for the situations that apply to you. Also recognize that the IRS changes the various contribution and income limits each year, so it's important to check the latest IRS guidelines for the relevant tax year. Okay, so now that we spent all this time talking about the different types of IRAs and some of these restrictions around each, we can finally get to what you really care about. Which type of IRA is right for you? Now look, the easy answer would be for me to tell you that, well, there's no real definitive answer, and it really all depends on your personal circumstances, so you'll need to decide for yourself. But here on Venture Dave, we don't take the easy way out. We go the extra mile to bring you the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I would argue that you should almost always contribute to a Roth IRA. And here's why. At first glance, you might think, well, I should take the Roth if I'm a low income earner and the traditional if I'm a high income earner.
False.
But the income limits really screw up that simplistic approach to this problem. While the Roth certainly helps if you're currently in a low tax bracket to save you from those potentially higher taxes in the future, if you're a high earner and thinking of going traditional, well, as we discussed, and for reasons we can only speculate, if your Maggie is over $87,000, you're not even allowed to deduct those contributions, so you miss out on the benefits you'd expect the traditional IRA to be good for in the first place. It's like, what are we even paying you for? You have one job. At that point, if you're paying the taxes up front anyway, you might as well just contribute to a Roth to avoid any taxes in the future. And then, if you end up over the income limit to directly contribute to a Roth IRA, you can just do the Backdoor Roth. Oh, and by the way, you can't do the Backdoor Roth while maintaining funds in your traditional IRA. So if you ever start off with a traditional and then you ever get to the point where you want to use the Backdoor Roth, you're going to have to go through a large taxable event to convert all those funds to a Roth, which will be super counterproductive to why you contributed to the traditional IRA in the first place. Again, this might not make sense now, so check out my future video explaining everything you need to know about the Backdoor Roth. Basically, given the income deduction limitations, there's really very little reason to contribute to a traditional IRA. So now you're thinking, okay, great, I'm sold, but how do I create an IRA? You can't go wrong with the big three brokerage firms, Vanguard, Fidelity, or Charles Schwab. But there are many other popular companies to choose from, so feel free to shop around and find one that meets your needs. Simply go to any one of their websites and there should be some pretty straightforward instructions that'll guide you through opening an account. It's easy. There was a lot here, so if you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. And keep an eye out for my future videos where I'll be diving into more detail on topics like the Backdoor Roth and others. If you found this helpful, and even if you didn't, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, venture on.